Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today, we are getting into, as promised, part 3 of 3 of my mini-series on the Dream 100, the power of the Dream 100. And today, we're going to talk about some tools that you need to equip yourself with, or call on, or develop, one of the three, in order to leverage the Dream 100 to its maximum capacity, so you can make the most of your understanding of the Dream 100. You understand it now because I've explained it to you over these today, yesterday, and the day before. But now, how can you actually leverage it? You got to have these tools in place. That's what we're going to be going over here today. Now, before we get into this, let me remind everyone I have a daily motivation text message I send out for free every single morning to everyone who's in my text community. This is a message that is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. If you want to receive this message, all you got to do is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every morning when that message goes out, as a member of my text community, you shall receive. Secondly, Work on Your Game University is the place where you take the next step with me. I'm telling people, I tell people this all the time, one of the biggest challenges that I help people with is not in answering all your questions, it's in giving you better questions than the ones that you are currently asking. Questions you're asking now are not the questions that you need answers to. You actually need better quality questions. What I do is help people with better quality questions, better quality approaches, better strategies, better systems, so that you can execute, excuse me, at the level that you need to execute so you can get the outcomes that you want. And that's why I created a university. So I'm giving you all the education and curriculum that you need, real life education. That is all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. So let's get into the topic. Again, we're on part 3 of 3 of this series on the Dream 100, and we are picking up where we left off, which is at point number 7. What you need. Again, today we're talking about the tools. What skills and attributes do you need to leverage the Dream 100? Number 7, tighten up your communication skills. Tighten up your communication skills. The Dream 100 is all about relationships. I think that part you understand. I mean, you've heard me say that enough times that you understand the Dream 100 is about relationships. I emphasize that. I harped on that. I got to take a note here because I just thought of something that I'm going to do a whole episode on. Let me see. I just thought of a topic I'm going to do a whole episode on while I was talking to you all. So I just had to write this down because I know I'll forget if I go through this whole episode writing it down. All right, so now it's written down. Since the Dream 100 is all about relationships, and relationships are built on communication, then you need to be very good at communication, because that's the only way you can leverage the Dream 100. See, one thing that I do to leverage the Dream 100, I'll give you a peek into one of my secrets. This is an open secret, is that I personalize every message when I send it out to people. I don't do the copy and paste thing. There was a time that you could just copy and paste messages and send the same message to like 100 people and hopefully somebody responded. Back in 2015 and 2016, when I first got into entrepreneurship full time, I could just write a message, copy and paste it, and just send it to different people, and I would get responses and I would land on shows, and that worked back then. It doesn't work anymore simply because everybody's done it so much, and there are so many people with shows, and so many people who want to be on shows, or so many people who want to be affiliates, so many people who want to do joint ventures, so many people who want to reach out to everybody else. Everybody's DMing and all of this stuff to everybody. Everybody's messaging everybody these days. We have all become conditioned to filter out anything that looks like it's just copy and paste. Anything that looks like a form message is just copy and paste it, and I sent the same thing to 100 people. People notice that now. You can't get away with that anymore. Again, 6-7 years ago you could get away with it. You can't get away with it anymore simply because, again, everybody's seen it. We filtered it out. Same way people can filter out advertisements without even really consciously thinking about the fact that it's an advertisement that they're filtering out. So you got to personalize your messages. Back in 2007, going into 2008, when I sent the 10,000 emails, the 10,000 email process that got me back into pro basketball after I've been out of the game for a year because I was unable to land a contract. One of the things that I started doing was sending out a whole bunch of emails every day, and one of the things that made it so intensive was that I was personalizing every message that I sent out. I was personalizing messages to everybody that I reached out to, and iterating and making different adjustments along the way until I can get the kind of result that I want. So I was basically running a CRM, but I was not using a CRM. I just had a CRM process, because that's all CRM. CRM is not the software itself. CRM is the process. They just call it CRM software because it does the job of a CRM. And I was talking about that yesterday, by the way, if anyone doesn't know what I'm referring to when I say CRM. But that personalization is what helped me start to get responses from people. And finally, I got a response from a team that was interested, and that's how I got signed to a contract. And I wrote about that again in my book, Work on Your Game. And you can see that book right there over my shoulder if you're watching on video. And you can read the book by going to workonyourgamebook.com. So again, everybody has attuned themselves to filtering out copy and pasted messages. So if you've been doing that, sending copy pasting DMs, text messages, emails, stop doing that, because you're putting more effort into it than you're going to get return on investment. These days, even on Instagram, because I'm an active Instagram user, and I also advertise on Instagram, I get a lot of DMs from people who have more followers than me, people who clearly they're selling some type of coaching, a course, a mastermind, something like that. I get these DMs from people, often people with verified blue checks. And I can tell that the messages that they're sending, and they're usually very short messages, they're just copy pasting messages. They send the same stuff to everybody. So I got one guy DM me, this is probably a year or two ago, and he said, cool profile, bro, exclamation point. What all do you do? Question mark. That was the DM that he sent. Now, that's a really dumb DM to send. I'm assuming that maybe this guy knows what he's doing. Maybe this works for him. And the fact that he has a lot of followers and he has a verified check mark, maybe that causes people to want to respond to him and talk to him. They're just happy to get attention from this gentleman. It didn't work with me, because clearly he hadn't put any time into reaching out to me. He wasn't really reaching out to me. He was just sending that to a bunch of people and just seeing who responded. And the thing is, if he had just looked at my profile, he could see what I do, because it says it right there in the bio. If he just looked at a couple of my posts, he could see what it is that I do. He clearly hadn't taken the time to do that. Then you get the people, the new thing is, people will leave a couple of comments on your posts, or they'll like your last 30 posts. They'll like each one of them, and then they'll leave a couple of comments and say, hey, I just sent you a DM, check your DMs. Or your DM might be in the requests tab, make sure you check your DMs. And there'll be somebody with a lot of followers and they're kind of well known. So again, this is the kind of thing that gets people excited. Maybe not me, but other people get excited because somebody who has a lot of followers, or they have a verified mark, they are leaving a comment on your post and they say check your DMs, and all they're doing is trying to start a conversation so that they can eventually move you on to maybe a phone call or buying their product or service. I ain't mad at them. I mean, but do your thing. All right, that's your hustle. That's your hustle. If that works for you, fine. That does not work on me, and that's not something I do not suggest any of you do that. Don't do the copy paste, do the same thing and send it to a whole bunch of people and hope that somebody responds. That's the shotgun. We call that the shotgun method of doing things. The shotgun, you fire a shotgun, it just sprays a whole bunch of bullets in a general vicinity, and you hope that it hits something. That's the way that these people are doing their marketing. And these are people, again, who, by the looks of it, they are successful at what they're doing. Whether they're actually successful is another story. We don't really know. You can't tell by somebody's social media profile. But this is a lazy, non-strategic way of marketing. So all of you, since you're listening to the show, I'm letting you know, do not do this. And if you see someone doing it, make sure you don't fall victim to it. So personalization, personalizing the messages that you send to people, does not scale, but it does work. Did everybody hear what I said there? Scaling just means, for those of you not familiar with the term, scaling just means when you find a process that works so well that you can basically pour jet fuel on it, and you can take that same process that you're doing at a level 10 and you can turn it up to a level 100 doing the exact same things. You're just doing 10 times more of it, and you get 10 times the results, or even 1,000 times the results. That's what scaling means. So you look at a company like Amazon. They started off by selling a few products. They did well with that. They started selling more and more and more, and they scaled it to the point that now Amazon is probably doing $1 million of transactions every minute everywhere in the world. They scaled up what they're doing. What these people who I just mentioned, what they're trying to scale is, I'm going to send the same DM to 100 different people, and hopefully I get enough responses to make back what that was worth in time, make back in sales what that was worth in my time. That is scalable. You can scale DMing the same people the exact same copy pasting messages. You can send 1,000 of them in an hour, or until Instagram throttles you and puts you in Instagram jail for DMing too many people. Or you can copy and paste and send the same email to 3,000 people in the same day. You could do that. It scales. The thing is, it doesn't really work. What doesn't scale is personalizing every message. Now, you probably can't send 1,000 personalized messages in one day. You don't have enough time to personalize 1,000 different messages. But you could send 10 personalized messages a day. You can send 5, you can send 3, and those 10, 5, or 3 get a higher return on investment than the 1,000 that are copy pasted, because again, human beings are getting better at noticing and filtering out the copy pasted messages, and they know it's not for them. And we're in the selfie era. Not the selfie generation, but the selfie era, where everybody is focusing so much on themselves. If they can tell that your message is not specifically for them, they're not interested. You get it? This is why all this matters. So I suggest that all of you figure out what is a thing, or maybe a couple of things, no more than 2 or 3, that do not scale but actually do work to convert in your business, and you need to focus on those things. Focus on doing those on a consistent basis. That's the secret sauce that makes things work in your business. So one of the things for me is I personalize the messages when I reach out to people. I've been on probably, over the last 7 years, I've been on probably 200 to 300 different people's platforms, where they had the platform, they had the audience, and I found a way to get myself in front of that audience. And the reason I've been able to do that is because I personalize the messages when I reach out to people, and that does not scale. I cannot scale reaching out to 10 people personalized each, but I can do 10 people in a day. It takes time, it's time intensive, and it takes energy, it takes attention, but it works. So again, remember what business we're in, folks. We're not in the scaling business, we're in a results business. Now, if you can get scale and results at the same time, great, but do not put scale in front of results, because if you're scaling something that doesn't work, what are you doing? Point number 8. Today's topic, once again, is we're talking about the Dream 100. Point number 3, third part of this is talking about the tools you will need to make it work. So number 8, make it easy for people to say yes. What that means is, if you're going to appear on someone else's platform, they decided to work with you, they decided to collaborate with you, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to want to say yes. You want to make it easy for them. So for example, I'll give you an example. When I appear on another person's podcast, often, not all the time, you'd be surprised, but most of the time, I won't even say most of the time, let me back up. I would say about 60% of the time when I appear on someone else's podcast, when that episode comes out, because we record it, a week or a month or months before it comes out. When the episode comes out, 60% of the time, the host of the show or their staff or whoever will reach out to me or my staff or whoever and say, hey, Dre, your episode is out. Can you please share it on social media, et cetera, or they'll tag me on Instagram, something like that. 40% of the time, they don't say anything. The episode just comes out, nobody says anything. Surprisingly enough, I would not do that if that was the way I was doing it, but it's their business. They can run it as they see fit. When people reach out to me and they say, Dre, your episode is out, if they send an email, here's the best way to do this. This takes time. It kind of can scale in a way. If you put the system together, you actually can scale this. So it does, but it still takes time because somebody has to actually do it. But you can scale it if you get the right system. The best ones is when they send me an email and it says, hey, Dre, or whoever they're reaching out to on my side, your episode's out. Here's the link to the episode. They have a link to on their website, usually the episode where it's hosted on their website. Then they'll have a link to, here's the episode on Apple Podcasts, here's the episode on Spotify, and if they did video, here's the link to the video on YouTube. Then they'll say attached are some graphics. So they'll have like a graphic image of me and the host, and they're just promoting the show. Y'all seen these on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Graphic image. They may have 2 or 3 graphic images. If they're good, they have more than one. They give me options. Then they'll also, if they're really good, they take some video clips or audio clips from the episode and they put those in the email as well as attachments, like these are clips anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds, and they send me those as well. So they may send me 3 graphics, 3 audio/video clips. They give me the links to Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And the ones who are really go above and beyond, this is what they do. They say, Dre, we would like you to share this on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So here's what we'll do. Here's what we did, rather. We already pre-wrote the words that you can use when you share this on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. All you have to do is scroll down in this email, copy and paste what we already wrote. It already tags you. It already has our handles tagged. All you gotta do is copy and paste it into Facebook, paste it into LinkedIn. You don't even have to think about what to write. Just paste it in and hit send, and it will publish, and it will track back to us. It will track back to you. Everybody's tagged. The link is already in there. You don't have to do anything. Now, why am I sharing that with you, and why is that so great? Why am I talking this up like this is such a great thing? It's great because they make it very easy for me to do what they want me to do. They make it easy for me to cooperate with them because they did all the work for me. That's what you want to do when you are leveraging the Dream 100. You want to make it really easy for someone else to say yes because you have done all the legwork. You shouldn't be leaving them to do the legwork, because let me give you a hint. What I tell you in yesterday's episode, most of the time people are not thinking about you. So if you leave it to them to do the legwork, let me tell you a secret. They ain't gonna do it. If you leave it to other people to do the legwork that you should have done, they will not do it. You have to make it really, really easy for them. This is your job. This needs to be part of your system. It needs to be part of your structure in your business to make it easy for other people to say yes. This is the legwork that you need to do on the back end. When you come to the university, I can show you for your specific business, or you're working with me in my coaching program, I'll show you specifically how to do this to make it really easy so that you are leaving out, you don't want to leave any variables that require the other person to give effort. Every time you leave variables that require the other person you're working with to give effort, you're exposing yourself to risk, because the risk is they're not going to do it, and most of the time they don't do it. All right, I've collaborated with enough people to know they don't do this. So the point is, you want to make it really easy. Okay, make it easy for people to say yes, and then make it easy for them to cooperate, because that's what Dream 100 is about. It's about cooperation / collaboration. Make it easy for them to cooperate by, again, here's how you make it easy for another person. You do all the work. If you want to make something easy for another person, you do all the work, and just all they got to do is just show up, and they don't have to really do anything. That's how you make it easy. Remember when I was in college, I forget what class this was that I was in, but we had to do a group project. And this group project, I think it was 4 of us in a group. And in this particular group, and I've talked about this, I was an average student, not because I was average in intelligence and my ability to take in information. I was just average in my effort. I was a C student on a good day. But this particular group project, in this class, I was grouped with this girl who was like an exceptional student. She was one of those students that read 3 chapters ahead in the textbook, and if we got assigned a project, or we got assigned something to do individually, she would get it done like within the next 48 hours, even though the project wasn't due for 2 weeks. She would get it done in 2 days. She was one of those students, one of those above and beyond overachieving students. And I was in the same group as her in this group project that we had to do. So during this group project, she pretty much did all the work for the whole group, not because she was doing it on some guilty type trip thing. She was doing it because this is just who she was. She was just this kind of student who would just do all the work. So I was lucky, me and my group mates, the other 2 of us, the 3 of us were lucky to be in a group with this student because she was just an exceptional student. So when it was time for us to give our presentation as a group about, what did we do in the project, the teacher knew the deal. The teacher knew. And I remember when he called on me to say something about the project, and he said, well, good thing for you, Dre. I think the student's name was Lindsay, if I remember, but I may be forgetting her name. Doesn't matter. He said, well, Dre, you were lucky. You were in a group with Lindsay, and she did a lot of the heavy lifting for your group. She kind of already had it done before you all got into the group project. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're right, sir. You're correct. She did have most of it done. He said, how did you feel about that? And I said, I felt good. And everybody in the class just laughed. It was very funny because I didn't really have to do a whole bunch of the work. And what I'm explaining, I'm telling y'all that story to let you all know this. You need to do that. All right, you need to be like Lindsay. All right, you need to be the one who does so much of the work that everybody else, all they got to do is just show up and rubber stamp what you did, and you get what you want. So you're not doing this work just to say you did the work. You're doing the work so that you get what you want, and you guarantee that the other person doesn't slow you down and slow down your progress. And generally, the less known you are, the more important you need to be in making it easy for another person. Now, if you're more known, maybe you can make them do some work because they may be willing to because of who you are. But if you're a nobody to them, then you better be willing to do 99% of the work. Okay, just in case. Be ready to do it just in case you need to. You may not always have to, but you may need to. Okay, so if a well-known brand reaches out to you, I remember a well-known brand reached out to me at one point, and they were potentially looking to do something with me, and they took a deeper look into what I was doing. They said, well, your audience is not quite big enough for what we want to do. So I wanted to work with these people, and they had shown interest, but then they said your audience is not quite big enough for what we want to do. So here's what I did. I went and made a personalized message for them, and I sent it directly to the contact person, and they said, Dre, even though what you're offering here, your audience doesn't hit the criteria for what we generally look for, because you've given such effort to making this work, we're going to make it work, and we're going to work with you. And then we went in the contract, and we went and did the business deal. That's how you get things done, especially when you're not, again, necessarily the most known entity out there, or you're not the biggest name out there. And I had to do that, and this was in the last year that something like that happens. So any of you who don't have an audience of my size, understand you may need to do this yourself. This is just how it goes, and this is okay. All right, sometimes you make up for in effort what you lack in other things, what you make up for in maybe audience equity, or maybe you make up for in financial equity, whatever it happens to be, you can make up for it in other ways. I did a whole episode on this. Let me see what episode that was. It was episode number 2413, what to do when you don't have the money. And money can just be a metaphor here. Anytime you are short on one resource, there's a way to make up for it with another resource. You just got to ask yourself better questions. Point number 9, last point in this series. We are talking about the power of the Dream 100. Let's not get it twisted, everybody. The Dream 100 is sales. Even though you are not selling a product or a service directly in exchange for money, you're selling you. The product is you. That's what you're selling when you do the Dream 100. So people need to buy into you as a person. If the person you're reaching out to collaborate with does not buy into you, they will not buy the product or service, even if it's a great product or service. Your relationship building skills are based on your ability to sell yourself to other people. That's how you build relationships. You selling yourself to other people. Remember that the Dream 100, when you reach out to another person, then they collaborate with you to work with you in some way, they have to know you, like you, and trust you. So you have to figure out how you would like to polish yourself up and make yourself someone that other people would want to be friends with and would want to work with. That's what the Dream 100 is. You need to make yourself that person. The other people look at you and say, I want to be friends with this person. I want to work with this person. I want to be connected with this person. And there's no one right way to do this, and there's no one wrong way to do it. You judge everything on its outcomes. Judge everything on the results. So your presentation, however you present yourself, it matters, because people will look up your presentation and make a decision about you based on what they see. So that means whatever's on your website, if you have one, whatever pictures you have up representing you, they matter. Whatever's on your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your Instagram or your YouTube channel, people are looking at that stuff and they want to see how you're presenting yourself. They want to see what other people are saying about you. All these things do matter, and people are looking these up and they are judging you based off that, and they're making decisions, value decisions about whether they should work with you or not based on the things that they see. So you need to pay attention to your brand, which is basically your representation in the marketplace, how you're being perceived and how you're being seen, heard, and known by other people. It matters, and people are judging you off of it. All right, this is part of the sales game. Everybody with me here? Good. Recapping today's class, which is part 3 of 3. We are talking about the power of the Dream 100. Today we're talking about the attributes and the tools. Number 7, tighten up your communication skills. Since relationships are built on communication and the Dream 100 is about relationships, you better be good at relationships. All right, if you are not good at relationships, get good at them. I have a course called People Skills inside of workonyourgameuniversity.com that will help you with this immensely. I also have the Work on Your Game system, where one of the modules in the Work on Your Game system is all about communication. Also, Bulletproof Mindset 2.0. There's a whole section there about communication. How do you take your bulletproof mindset and leverage it in the way you communicate with yourself and with others? Number 8, make it easy for people to say yes. When you are working with another person, especially if they are the ones who are, especially if you're the one who is less known than they are, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. So volunteer to do the majority of the work so that they don't have to do it. The easier you make it for someone to say yes, the more likely it is that they will say yes. This is where you are trading your effort equity for what you lack in any other form of equity. Number 9, let's not get it twisted. The Dream 100 is sales. The product, though, is you. You are the product being sold. So if you want to sell a product, any of you ever sold a house before, any of you work in real estate, what do you do when you're selling a house? You bake some cookies so it smells good. You clean it up. You make sure there's no dust or dirt or anything like that. You get a professional photographer to take pictures. You get it staged if you need to, so it looks really, really good. So when people see it, they're like, wow, this place looks amazing. You want people to think that about you. You want them to say, wow, this person looks amazing when they see you. So look at yourself on the internet. Look at how you're being presented and ask yourself, do you give people a wow when they see you? If the answer is no, then you need to fix that, because it is hurting your ability to sell your most important product, which is you. All that said, text me to get my daily motivation. Also, tell me the best insight you got from this whole series. My number is 305-384-6894, and go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you take your next step to work with me directly in my university, access to my courses, my coaching, and everything else. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.